Good afternoon, everybody. And I almost said this morning, good morning, because apparently I have no clue what time or day it is. I do know what day it is. It is Wednesday, October 7th, and this is Women in Business. And today we are talking with Valerie Roland of Positive Threads Customs Designs. Now, a few things to get out of the way before Valerie joins us. First of all, no, I am not wearing purple. If you're used to me wearing purple, this may be disconcerting for you, but I thought it was time to change it up. And since I've been gone for a while, I figured trying something new would be good. The other thing, since we are coming back, there is going to be one change in the format for this show. There will be 3 interview shows a month and 1 issue show a month. The issue show will be the 3rd Wednesday of every month, and we'll discuss various issues that are facing women in business. The first one is going to be on sexual harassment and sexual abuse, and that will be on the 21st. And that's a show that's probably not safe for kids, I would guess, but it's definitely one you should watch, so I hope you'll all tune in. But for those of you that are with us today, and I see my stalwart Cindy King is here, as she always is, and thank you, Cindy. For all of you that are with us, I really appreciate you being here. Please do leave comments. Please do let us know what you're thinking. And let's get to what you came for. So my guest today is Valerie Roland. She started Positive Thread Customs Designs in 2014 with 0 experience or knowledge of the business. She didn't even know what the term vector meant or that the word even existed. Her sister and she brought an entire screen printing setup and started on the adventure together. They originally just offered screen printing, but quickly added vinyl and rhinestones to the business. Within 1 year, they had outgrown working from home and opened a storefront. Things grew even faster once having a storefront for people to locate them, and embroidery and sublimation were then added to what the business had to offer. In December of 2018, the partnership was dissolved and Valerie kept the business running by herself. And soon after, she sold the screen print equipment and moved the business into her home. And basically, once the partnership dissolved, she started over from scratch and she's working to make the business more what she wants it to be versus having to deal with what a partner would want it to be. And I loved this. She never touched the embroidery machine prior to her sister's departure, and now she runs it almost daily, which is proof that people can learn new things. And you can find Positive Threads Custom Designs on Facebook and Instagram. This is the Facebook page. And let's pop Valerie in here and say hello. Whoops. Let's do this first, though, because you know what? You have to turn the banners off or people get confused. I get confused. All right. Hello, Valerie.
Hello.
See, this is going well. Don't you feel comfortable right now? We're doing great.
I love it. I love it.
Well, see, I think you got to laugh because there's nothing else you can do. And I'm so grateful that you're here. I'm so proud that you're here because I know this is one of the first things of this type that you've done. So kudos to you that you're brave enough to do this because a lot of people aren't.
Well, so, I appreciate you asking, although I was very, very skeptical. Yes, step out of your comfort zone.
Why were you skeptical? Were you skeptical about doing it or were you skeptical that you would have something to say?
No, it's more the camera thing. Yeah, just out there. That's all.
Okay. Well, let's say hi to a few people. Cindy King is here. Cindy's always here. I love Cindy. And Carolyn is here. Strickness. I always say it wrong. Sorry, Carolyn. And Carolyn, just for you, wearing lipstick.
I was going to say I failed her, right?
And apparently Carolyn likes your machine too.
Oh, thank you.
And it looks like Todd has joined us. Thank you for joining us, Todd. We appreciate the support. So one of the reasons that I wanted to have you come and talk to us, Valerie, is because you have a story that I don't necessarily think is unique, but it's one that I didn't really know anybody else who had this experience, which is you started the business with a family member and then things didn't necessarily go the way that you all wanted them to, and you ended up dissolving the partnership. So, and I want to say right up front, this is not intended to be, we're not here to trash anybody or bash anybody or say who was right or wrong or anything like that. It's not about that. It's about what did you learn from the experience, I guess. And so the first thing that I want to ask you is, when you started this, because one of the like standard pieces of advice that people get is, if you start business with a family or a friend or anybody, have stuff in writing. Did you guys sit down and put anything in writing? Did you have any kind of agreement of any kind?
We very, very, very blindly started everything. We found a smoking good deal on Craigslist and just like jumped in. Like, okay, let's do this. We can buy this setup. It's not a lot. It's minimal risk. Let's try it. Our next step was we connected with the Small Business Association at our community college, and that's where first off they're like, don't do this. Don't do a partnership. And then, okay, so now that you put the horse in front of the cart in front of horse in front of the cart, however that saying is that I mess up every time.
The horse, I think is where you're going.
Okay. So, okay, let's backtrack and let's start with, some laying foundations, all this. So we started writing out some procedures. We started writing out like what everybody's responsibilities were, but at the same time, those had to be redefined later because we didn't know. Like you can say, here's your policy and procedures. You can say, here's how we're going to take care of things. But honestly, we didn't even know what we were up against to define that properly.
Well, and that's a real good point. Those have to evolve.
Yes. And so we did establish some stuff. Our number one thing was that it was about family and family time, and the business wasn't to come between us. Unfortunately, when things dissolved, that's not how it went, but that's on us. I mean, we have to take responsibility for that we didn't stay true to what we set out for. I know that there's people that do have partnerships and have great success. And I think you just have to go into it. If you have hesitations, listen to your gut instinct. It's like anything else. If you were standing at the altar and you had hesitations, you can't be angry at yourself later if when you're signing divorce papers, like, oh, what the hell, I was, duped. No, you felt it and you went with it. And we had things defined, but not to a point that we probably should have. And that was just being very naive and lack of knowledge of truly, you don't know what you don't know.
Well, exactly. And I also think when you tend to get involved with friends or family, one of the hard discussions is, first of all, when you're starting a business, you never want to go, so what are we going to do if this totally sucks?
Yes.
Yeah. And how are we going to handle that? So you don't want to do that. And I'm assuming that wasn't a discussion that you guys were having when you were like, we found this deal and it's going to be awesome.
Perfect. Yeah. And we did have, we had the discussion of, if one of us wanted to buy the other out, or if one of us wanted out. And we had the ultimate goal that when my son, which is the youngest of all the kids, when my son would graduate, that we would just be done. Like it was kind of, we'll do it until the kids are graduated and then we'll be done. Whatever that looks like when the time comes, that's how we'll be done. But unfortunately, we didn't keep revisiting what we needed to revisit. So just like in marriage, it can be really good, or a partnership can be really bad. And you have to keep that communication open. And later I went through the paperwork that we had, we'd all typed up, we'd all agreed. And it was really, was really bittersweet to read it because we did have stuff in there that, you know, if there's a problem arise, we need to discuss it firsthand. We can't let it eat on us. We can't bury these things. We have to acknowledge things. And that didn't happen. And that's guilty on all parties. No way, no shape or form will I not say that I didn't have a part in that, because I definitely did. But I think it was harder to address some of those problems strictly because it was my sister. Because there's no escaping it. You can't leave work at work, you know. Like, you still have Christmas, you still have Thanksgiving, you still have these things. And so when you're annoyed with someone, or there's that little thing that's just poking at you, it's almost like you can't safely address it, because then, well, if I bring this up and upset you, then in 2 hours I have to be around you because of this. And so where's that headed, kind of thing.
Right. Well, it seems like, I mean, you touched on a good point, which I want to circle back to a little bit, because I think it's really important in any partnership, but communication, you know, and constantly, because I know from places that I've worked that somebody had a wrong idea about something that I did, or they didn't understand something I said or whatever, and it festered for like so long because didn't sit down and go, you know what, I'm angry about this, or I didn't understand this, or I don't know why you did this, or you said this, or whatever it was. So it sounds like you guys had a good plan for that in your written documents.
I feel like we did, we just didn't execute it. We just and at the same time, going back to being naive, we didn't understand the tasks that were at hand when you grow so quickly. And so there wasn't a defined definition of whose task was this, that, or the other, because we literally started in my sister's garage, and we were there for less than a year, or right about a year, and we moved into a storefront, and we never advertised. It was literally just people that we knew that we started making shirts for, and then that just went and went and went. And when we moved in to the storefront, and this is a town population of 3,000, so we're not talking a lot of people, it just kept going and going and going. And so then it was almost like, what are we doing? You know, we started this as something to do to occupy time and get a little bit of income. And now, holy crap, we're having to come in for this, that, and you know, and then, so those little things that we needed to revisit, and we just didn't. We didn't revisit. And then
so
it just kept going.
It sounds like there were a couple of things there. One was just not really knowing what you should have done.
Yes.
And kind of starting it on the, hey, we have this great idea and let's go. And the other one was that you guys grew really fast. Yes. And when you grow, obviously the business makes a lot more demands on you. There's a big difference between this is just something we're doing for fun to make a little extra, you know, drinking money or whatever. And this is like a serious, real thing with employees and people and responsibilities.
And then I think that's another part where our personalities were also different. I feel like we kind of both had different expectations of the business when it kept getting to that point. And we didn't go back and readdress those like we should have. You know, just to say, like, is this the direction we want the business to go? I mean, obviously, we bought embroidery because we kept turning business away, and we kept we kept trying to actually send it to a local lady, but this local lady did not want anything to do with us because she felt that we were taking business from her as far as screen print wise and other things. And we wanted to work with her, but it just got, So, okay, well, we would work with you, but you don't want to, and we're continually turning away business. So we'll buy embroidery. When we bought embroidery, that just blew up a whole nother part of our business. So I feel like we both were maybe motivated by different things to keep us going. it was seriously communication. I don't know that I can stress communication enough, but it'll make you or break you, because you can be on different sides of the spectrum, in my opinion, as long as you chart out like, okay, so you don't want the business to grow that way. That's fine. But if I'm willing to take on these tasks, and, I'm not expecting much from you for that part, but it was a train wreck.
Well, I mean, there's so much here to unpack. It's just like, I mean, I don't love this story because I'm sure it wasn't fun for you, but part of me really loves this story because it's like, there's so much here, which the little interviewer in me is going, ah! But I want to say hello to a few more people just real quick so I can get my composure back. Rena says, hello, ladies. And also, good for you, Valerie, for stepping outside your comfort zone. Alan is here. Thank you for joining us, Alan. I hope you're feeling better. And Carolyn says, lots of drinking money when working with family. So yeah, that's true. So I love the whole idea of also people having different strengths, because I have found with some people, the fact that they have strengths that I don't is great. And with other people, it's like, I will punch you in the face if you talk to me one more time. And it's like, so that, I mean, I'm assuming, or maybe not. So I guess this is the question. When you guys started talking about this, did you talk about the fact that did you even know you had different strengths at that point?
Oh my gosh, we are so different. It's hard to believe because I'm putting myself out there, but I am the most introverted person you will ever meet. I don't like to talk to people. I mean, so my husband laughs at me because he's like, you're not introverted. I am introverted if I'm out of my comfort zone. If I know you or I have a way to connect with you, I can hold a conversation with you. But in general, I am not.
You're not going to walk up to strangers and say hi.
I won't. And I hate confrontation. Okay. I am not. No, you could probably run me over with your car, and unless I'm having a really bad day, I'll just be like, oh, whoops. I guess I was in the way. Where my sister, she will cut you and then laugh because she does not care. Like she does not take prison, or she takes prisoners. She's not. Yeah. So that works. That actually works because when you have someone who doesn't pay their bills and you just put that person on them, and she's like, I don't care if they hate us. I don't give a shit what their problem is. They owe us money. They're paying. So that works very well as far as different. Yeah, and she did the production. She did 99% of the production. Screen print, hated it. I actually couldn't sell it fast enough after she left. That was her thing. And screen print is, some people think that they're just going to buy a cheap setup and it's easy peasy. Screen print is truly a work of art, to know how to dial it in, to know how to troubleshoot this, that, and the other. And I sat there and I worked on it for a while after she left. And then I was like, why am I fighting this? I don't like it.
This is not my thing.
And it's messy. And I'm not going to get the kind of quality that she was putting out because she did it. It was her thing. So someone actually approached me wanting to know if they could come in and use our equipment and do something. And I was like, how about we just make a deal? Buy it. I will make you the best deal you've ever seen in your life. Get it out of my face because I hate it. So, because you can buy transfers. So why am I going to sit here and have it take up so much square footage and fight it? And if you really hate screen printing and then you have to reclaim screens, you really, really hate screen printing after that, after fighting your screens and cleaning them and covered in ink. And you're like, this is dumb. What am I doing? And I actually had to have somebody tell me that. Why are you fighting so hard to keep this the way that it was? It's not going to be that anymore. It's not, so let it go. And it was kind of a sigh of relief to have somebody actually say out loud what I was thinking. Because here I am, like, I have these customers and I can't let them down. And I was up front. There were some customers I didn't want anymore. Perfect opportunity. Sorry, not doing this, because they were pain in the ass customers. And then I had some that I really, really appreciated. And I just told them, here's what's going on. Things are going to be changing. And I had some that were very reserved. And then I had others that said, as long as you're still in business, I'll do business with you. You have my business as long as you are willing to take it. So I think I may not have communicated well with my business partner, but I was very upfront with my customers after that. I think I learned the importance of communication. And
so did you ever, when you realized that, okay, this was going to be your business from now on as opposed to a partnership, did you ever go, I don't really know if I want to keep it going? Or did you go?
I did have that. I'm a very, very, very stubborn, obnoxious person.
Well, I've never noticed that about you, but okay.
It was, we shut down at Christmas, and it all happened right there at the end of the year when we were shutting down anyways, because the main point of everything was we tailored everything around our kids' schedules. And so at Christmas vacation, we would shut down. If the kids were out of school for 2 weeks, we just shut down. We had family time. So it was right at the end of the year. No orders were due until after January. And I seriously was like, I don't know if I want to do this. And I talked to my husband a lot, and I was like, I don't know what I want to do. I don't know if I want to keep doing this, how I want to do it. And I flip-flopped so many times in that 2 weeks. I was like, okay, I'm selling everything. Nope, I'm going to go back and I'm going to do these orders and I'm going to do this. And then finally I was just like, why am I selling this? You know, we have a good thing going. And the part that where my stubbornness came in was like, I have spent 4 years of my life learning design software, learning this, building something. Why would I walk away? Why would I just give up and let someone come in and take the business? As far as there obviously was a need for what we were doing. So why am I just handing that over to somebody else? And then I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. And I think my husband was shocked at first, like, are you sure about this? And trust me, there was a lot of alcohol going on then, because I was like, oh. But yeah. And so I went back in January, and I didn't know how to touch an embroidery machine. And I called Melco, and I got the tech to come out in February, and because he was scheduled out, and I did my 2-day training. I had to pay ridiculous money to have him come and give me another 2-day training course like they do when you purchase a machine. And then ever since, I just went with it. And then So the town that we worked out of, that's the town that my sister lives in. That's the town I grew up in. My whole family's there. I live 30 minutes from there. I grew up there, but I couldn't get out fast enough. I still live in a very small town, but that's not my town. That's not my thing.
Oh, I get that.
That was the other thing. I finally told my husband, if I'm doing this, I can't be in this town. I'm not here to have the person come in who wants to ask me the gossip of this, that, or the other. Like,
no, you don't need that.
Nope, not doing that. If you're here to order a shirt, great, I'll help you with the shirt. If you're here for the town gossip, go down to the coffee shop, because I'm not dealing with you. I have enough drama going on in my personal life that I'm not spreading it around. And so then I finally in May made up my mind that I had to leave. And so we converted our garage and moved everything here, and I don't have a commute. And then I went back to my customers and also let them know, okay, so now this is also changing locations, this, that. And they were like, okay, as long as you're up front and you let us know what's going on, we're good. So, yeah.
So that's a really good lesson right there, is customers can roll with a lot if you just keep them updated and let them know what's happening.
Yeah, just like if nobody has learned anything with Corona, you should have learned that part about be upfront with your customers, because you can't get any dang supplies right now. And if they're waiting 6 months and think you're just napping all day, you know, and you're not telling them it's stuck in China and I can't get it. So
that's very true. It's very, very true. Well, I like the whole, I mean, obviously communication with the customers is good. I also like what you said. Now, your husband doesn't own the business and he's not your partner in the business, but he still has to be, you still have to talk to him.
He has to deal with me when I am stressed. I am, not nice. But on the same time, I mean, it definitely took a toll on both of our husbands, this whole thing. Our entire family has dealt with the fallout of this. Like, you know, my mom, or my parents, my kids, my sister's kids, they're, you know, the cousin relationship is affected. It's all affected. And so it is a shit show. It really is a shit show, unfortunately. But
well, what's sad is that, you know, you started out with the best of intentions to do this thing, and you actually did it, and you were successful at it.
Yes.
And then, you know, priorities change and things, and you decided to go different ways, and then there's part of me that goes, why would anybody ever start a business with a family or a friend?
I don't, you know, and that's what's so funny. We went to the small business and the guy's like, don't do this. Our advisor that we had there, don't do this. There's a reason people tell you don't do this. Go in to do our taxes for the first year. And the accountant's like, well, I would tell you don't do this. It's a really, really, really bad idea. But obviously you're not going to listen and you already did this. And then later you're like, holy crap, everybody knew, you know, and I don't regret trying. I don't regret trying because obviously we did do good. I regret that we let the business take priority over what originally was a priority, which was freedom for our family. You know, it was that we could be contributing to our families without sacrificing family time away from our kids, because that was the number one thing. We were doing this for the flexibility of our kids. My husband travels for a living. He has gone way too much. So it's me and 2 kids. And my sister, she has 4 kids. So it was just that we have busy kids. We could keep up with our kids and still be, you know, filling a financial void and doing something other than, you know, watching Netflix or
hey, watching Netflix has its place, but well, I think the thing that I'm finding really interesting here is that, you know, you had a stated goal, and I'm wondering if, and, you know, if I'm wrong about this, you know, tell me that, but I'm wondering if the fact that you started doing so well kind of just, you got kind of pumped on that and you kind of forgot what you originally wanted to do. Am I like right about that or no?
So I feel like we were too busy and listening to people that we shouldn't listen to, as far as everybody will tell you how to run your business. You know, and you're not paying my bills, so you probably shouldn't. I shouldn't listen to you at all, unless you know you're Bill Gates. But we constantly put money back into the business instead of taking the money that we should have. And the biggest change I did after my sister left was I read Profit First. And that talks about how people constantly are not paying themselves and they're putting money back into their business because they think, oh, I got to grow this. I got to, you know, and eventually if I keep putting all my money back into my business, it's going to give me so much more return. And after I read that, it was like a light bulb that went off, that, you know, and so I immediately, when I changed business names, because I closed out the partnership, changed things, I started the different checking accounts and I set it up the way that Profit First says. And I told my husband, I'm like, this is insane. I don't have near the business that I had, but the amount of money that I'm making is so much different. And I wish that I would have implemented that sooner. I wish that we would have implemented that together differently and rewarded ourselves for what we were doing, because it is frustrating. And that book talks about it. You are killing yourself to make something, but you're not getting rewarded at all, which what's the point?
Yeah, what's the point of that?
That's how people do get burnout, and then they get resentful, and then like, why am I here? I'm gonna go work at McDonald's and not have the stress of being a business owner and not be putting in the hours. So,
well, and I think there's like a cultural thing out there that says you have to get bigger, you have to be more, you have to make more money, you have to do this. And it's like, but if that's not why, like you said, when you all started, you had a very specific goal, which was we want to do something that's going to allow us to be flexible, to be with our families when we need to take the time we want to take. And that's a very different goal than I want to have a storefront and I want to add all these extra decoration techniques and all that stuff. But the thing is, I think we're always kind of preached to that you're supposed to want to do the bigger and the more.
Yeah. Well, and I know people who that's their thing. Like, if I'm not busy 24/7, then I'm not successful. I've been busy to the point, Christmas rush is no joke. No. And you do not know what you are in for at first. And then you're like, holy cow, how are we even going to get these orders done? And now I'm just like, what? I did Christmas last year. Oh my gosh. I was like, these people are nuts. Where do you keep coming up with your money? And I was literally working. I worked. My poor husband's birthday is December 18th and my son's birthday is December 20th. And I was working till like 3 a.m. and then taking a nap and then getting up and then doing more orders. And then at night trying to do a birthday thing. And for my son's birthday, we went to the movie theater to watch Star Wars. And I literally slept through Star Wars because I was like, I haven't slept.
I'm not laughing.
Yeah, but and then after that, I was like, okay, I did it, but I don't want to do that anymore. I've done that. We did that with the storefront, and I don't want to do that. I have no desire to be so busy that I can't even enjoy my kids or my husband when he's home.
So there's a good lesson there, I think, that every business owner needs to take, which is know what your goal is. And I think, who said this? Oh, here we go. Our success group said, know what your idea of success is.
Yeah.
And I think that's completely what you need to focus on, because they're, like you said earlier, they're everybody and their brother and their sister and their sister's friend is going to tell you what you should be doing. Yeah. And some of them will tell you that when they've never run a business or done anything in their life, but they know how you should do yours.
They know how you should do it better.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And for what? Like, yeah. No. And that's, I have no, I'm busy this week. I should listen to myself. I'm very busy, but it's just this week. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll survive. And then, but, and working from home is different. I can handle the busy because my kids can go to bed at 10:30 at night, and I can work till midnight, 1:30 in the morning, because I'm a total night owl. Doesn't bother me at all, because if I'm not out here working, I'm probably inside watching some ridiculous thing on Netflix.
Yeah,
trying to
I'm a night owl too, so I'll wave at you, because I'm probably with you.
So that part I don't mind, but it's like I'm not gonna do. I have no desire to do $250,000 just to say that I did. And
I think there's a very okay. I'm going to come back to this because I want to call out a couple of things here. Because where are the ones? Oh, Sandy Joe says, "Love this podcast, Christine and Valerie." Thank you, Sandy Joe.
Thank you.
And Carolyn said, I do not like the holidays. I better not say that this year. Oh, no, Cindy, sorry. Cindy, I do not like the holidays. I better not say that this year. I need the jobs to live. But, and Oh, I like this. Carolyn says, we are the elves, we come last, which is sad, but true. But so one of the things that I wanted to come back to is what you were just saying, that we're told that it's money. Money is the arbiter of whether you're successful or not, and money is what you should be aiming for.
Yes.
And I mean, don't get me wrong, I like money as much as the next person. I like sleeping indoors and eating regularly and having health insurance and all that kind of stuff. But I think money is often the measure of whether something's working, and I don't necessarily think that's true. And it sounds like for you, money isn't necessarily where you're going to go, that's what made me successful.
I'm not money driven at all. I'm not. And that's not to say that I don't appreciate that my husband works hard so that we have a job or, you know, a house, and we have, we've never, ever relied on my income. So I think that puts a different status on where my priorities are.
Well, I will speak to that. Yeah, it does. If you're your sole support, then it matters a little more.
Yeah. But I guess the best way to describe that is I've never looked at people as far as whether they have money and if that makes them good or bad, or if I want, I don't care. Status quo, I don't care. I don't care. I care about people's intentions, and I care about if they're a nice person and a true person and honest. I'm not into the flashy. Like, to be honest, it kind of seems like, well, I'm not. Never mind.
Well, no, I know people who are very attached to, I have the Black American Express card, or I have and they think that makes them somehow better. And I'm like, and not like better than, but just makes them more of, you know, and I find that a lot of people that are very attached to like physical signs of status and stuff are usually pretty insecure, because they're like, I don't feel like I'm enough if I'm just me. So look, I have all this stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, says the woman who, you know, I don't know. I guess I won't go there. But anyway.
In hindsight, my sister and I, as far as personalities, we're very different. But when it came to that part, we view money differently. We have a different, I don't know how to describe it. Like, I'm not that person who cares if you drive a nice car or a car that's barely getting you there. I care about people's intentions. I seriously wish the world was viewed more on, you know, your personality and not
what you're putting out. Yeah. Are you making the world a better place?
Yes. Because there's some really, really, really ugly people in the world. And I don't mean that physically looks. I mean, just their heart and their nature. Yeah. They're horrible human beings. And I don't want to associate with you. And I don't care if you have $1 million in your checkbook or 2 cents. I don't care. If you're not a nice person, I got nothing for you. Like, nothing. And I think her and I definitely differ on that. And rightfully so. I mean, you're free to have your opinions of however, you're free to live your life however. That was just definitely a difference in our personality that affects a business when your business is to make money. So when you have different money goals, it does change things. And I don't think we saw that clearly in the beginning until money became more prominent. And then back to, you're working harder, you're working more, but you're not seeing more return on that because you're putting your money back into the business to grow the business. And then you're becoming resentful out of business that you're working your ass off. You truly are. And you're missing out on family stuff, or, you know, you're just there. You're married to it all the time. And then you're like, why am I doing this?
So there's a lot of, which it also is another point that you definitely would need to discuss if you have a partner, whether that partner is a family member or a friend or, somebody that you met 5 minutes ago, is what's your attitude toward how are we going to handle money and how are we going to pay ourselves and how are we going to grow the business and do we want to grow there's one of the things that I think, and you pointed this out in the very beginning, and I think it's something we should circle back to a little bit, is the fact that a lot of people start businesses and there's a lot of information out there, but not all of it is realistic. Like you said, you guys really didn't know. And then you went to the SBA and they're like, oh God, don't do this. It's just, yeah. And you're like, no, this is going to be great.
It's wonderful. Yeah.
But I think, and that's another part of the reason that I really wanted to have this discussion with you, because I think there needs to be more realistic talk about having a business is amazing. And, anybody who can start a business and keep it going is a hell of a person. But there's a lot of moving parts in this thing.
There's a lot of moving parts. Like, you have to realize that Walmart's doors open and their shelves are stocked and, they have product in the back that just needs moved out. But there's so many things that happen behind that. Someone had to order the product. Somebody has to know what product they even need to order in the first place. Then they have to get it there. Then people have to put it on the shelves. People have to clean it. You have to get the word out that you even have that. Like, there's so much going on that you don't just walk into a Walmart and they magically have on the shelf what you need. That's
Dang.
I know.
There aren't little Walmart fairies.
We live in this unrealistic world too, where everybody orders something on Amazon and just think in 2 seconds they have it. So then they become really selfish towards you when they want something custom and they want it in 5 minutes. And you're like, well, that's not the way the real world works. Even though Amazon works that way, that's not the real world, And if I wanted to make that reality happen for you, because you didn't plan for a party, now I'm giving up my own time to make your emergency a priority. And people.
Well, and I think one of my little pet peeve things, and since we're talking about this, I'm going to throw it out there, is that I see a lot of people talking about, especially in the garment decoration space, a lot of the people, and coincidentally, they're often trying to sell machines, buy an embroidery machine or buy a screen printing press, and, you'll be coining money and you'll have all the, and it's like, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
And, but if you try to be realistic with people and say, look, you, like you just said, you're going to deal with people who are, complete jerks and have their own agenda and don't respect your time and don't respect your schedule and, don't necessarily respect you.
Yeah. And forget the part of customers and all that. Like, that's a whole nother headache. But we were so naive. Oh my gosh. We bought a screen printing setup. I didn't know, we didn't know designing software. We didn't know anything. We bought a press and the dryer and screens. And this guy, he was just bought it to tinker with as a hobby. And then he sold it because he wanted to get into fish breeding as a hobby. Like, what does that mean? But here we are oh yeah, look at this.
Okay, that's a leap.
Oh yeah, it was, yeah. So, it was just crazy, but we didn't know. We knew nothing. Oh yeah, we bought this press, and now we're going to make shirts. Oh, what do you mean? We have to learn how to put this in a format and then print it on this printer to make a film and then burn a screen. And what does this mean? What are we doing with this? What? So there was just so much before we even got to a customer that we personally had to learn. That you're what are we doing? What the heck and it's kind of like, there's that movie when Matt Damon where he buys the zoo and he says in the movie, you just need a couple of seconds of insanity to do, make a big move. Yeah. And then, that was totally it, because it's what are we doing? Oh, let's go buy this. Okay, wait, what the hell did we just buy? What are we doing? We don't even know what we're doing. And then just run with it. Okay. So
well, I have to show this comment real quick because Todd had to take a swipe at Idaho. So let me see if I can get this fish breeding only in Idaho. Which actually, no, not only in Idaho, because I know of fish breeding in Michigan too. So
the person we bought the equipment from was in Washington, Todd.
Well, there you go. Your whole premise is screwed, Todd.
I've never met another fish breeder in my life.
I know of the Department of Fish and Wildlife or Game and Wildlife, or whatever they're called here. They do fish breeding in Michigan, I think.
But did it in his garage or something. I don't know. He was like.
I'm also like I'm kind of curious as to how you breed fish, but I'm thinking I probably don't want to look that up.
I'm not Googling that.
Which is totally off topic, but funny. But I think that's a very important point to get back to what we're ostensibly talking about. I'll try to turn the truck around and get us back to where we're supposed to be. But I think that a lot of people have a very realistic idea of what it takes to run a business, to start a business, what it takes to run equipment, all that, they don't, and a lot of that is kind of, a lot of those wrong ideas are kind of helped along by people who want to sell you equipment. So I got to ask, it sounds like when you guys, did you do any research before you started? Did you talk to anybody? Did you read anything? Did you, anything?
Very, very minimal. It was a very, I don't think it was a well thought out plan other than, we can do this, we got a smoking good deal for a setup, and then we didn't have to rent a place for it. We utilized my sister's garage and we put stuff there. And, so yeah, it just, okay, so I'll just figure out how to use Corel. Okay, I'll do this. And then, it was just one step at a time. And it was one of those things that was really weird. So we got our equipment. We got a really good deal. That was in the spring. In that fall, Ryanette was doing a raffle for breast cancer. They took one of their Riley Hopkins and they paint it pink and have it all fancy. And then they raffle off tickets, $20 a ticket, and they draw, all the money went to the breast cancer research.
Sure.
So we started, I want to say it was April that we bought our equipment. In October, we won the Riley Hopkins from Ryanette. So we got an upgrade. So it was like, okay, like the universe is saying we're supposed to do this, right? And then there was this building that we said if we ever moved out and got a storefront, this was the building we wanted. It was like the building you want.
Right.
And then it came empty. And so we contacted the people and they're like, yeah, if you guys want it here. And the rent was like nothing, like penny. So, okay. So now we're moving here. Like everything was moving in the right direction. Like put it out in the universe. If it works, then that's what you're supposed to be doing. And it was good. It was really good. We had a good thing. And the only thing is that we let our personalities and our pride get in the way. When we should have communicated, we didn't. And unfortunately, the downfall of that isn't the business. It's not the business. I could care less about the business. The downfall is the crap that happens with family when things go south with family.
Right.
And that's why I would say people caution you not to do that. It has nothing to do with the business failing. Who cares if the business fails? That's like, people fail in business all the time. You just, okay, well, move on.
Yeah,
like getting fired from a job, move on. That wasn't meant to be. That part isn't the bad part. The part is what happens later when, 2 years later and your family still hasn't recovered from what happened because people's feelings and pride and other, there's just bad stuff that goes down when it goes down.
So there's a risk, there's business risk, which is one level of risk, and then there's personal risk, and that's a completely different thing.
That's a whole nother, because I don't see the recovery on that.
Yeah, and that's, well, and also you have different expectations of relationships and how people behave and what they do when you're dealing with personal stuff. I mean, I put up with crap from people that I've done business with that I never would have done on a personal level because
you separated them.
It, or it wasn't, I didn't expect the same behavior because I'm like, it's a different thing. So yeah, that's a really good point. If you get, and I've seen relationships just implode over, things that you almost look at and go, God, that's really silly. But it just broke the relationship. And it's really, and it's sad, but it's also, I mean, it's got to be for you kind of bittersweet because, like you said, you accomplished what you set out to do and even beyond what you set out to do. Yes. And so you got to be proud of that. But, ultimately, maybe the consequences were not what you would have wanted. So that's
and I think that it would be a easier pill to swallow if the only people affected were the people that were truly in the business, which was me and my sister.
Right.
Those aren't the only people that are affected, though.
Yeah.
It's not the same. No family function is ever going to be the same. The kids don't hang out with cousins the way that they used to, kind of, and that's on all of us. I definitely do not dismiss my own behavior in that. That's all of us who had a hand in that. Yeah, but that's the part where it's not worth it. The successful business, that's great, but it's, yeah.
Well, and I think it's a good kind of, I don't know what the word is that I want. I don't really want to say warning, but I kind of do. But it's a good kind of reminder that when you start on something, you got to look at all the possibilities, even the ones that you don't think are ever going to happen or you don't want to happen. Because, I mean, it's like you were saying earlier about you have to look at it kind of like a marriage. You don't stand at the altar going, oh my God, in 5 years, I'm going to hate this guy.
Yeah, where's the exit plan?
Yeah. But at the same time, part of you, the reality is things happen. And so how do you balance those two responsibilities, I guess? And I don't know what the answer to that is. And I'm not asking you to know what the answer to that
honestly, it sounds cliche, but it has to be your communication because you just have to keep revisiting your goals, your business goals. You just have to keep going back. Like, is this the direction we want our business to go? Is this what we want it to look like? Do we want to take on more? Do we want this? Do we want, it has to come back to that communication part because so much of that can be prevented if you have that conversation. Like, do we really need to add this other piece of equipment? Do we really want to, stretch ourselves that much thinner? Or do we just want to say, and that's the part where, if we wouldn't have added that, we wouldn't have had this stress level of justifying that cost and having that equipment running, because why are you going to buy it to just have it sit there for one?
Well, no. Well, that's a whole other question. I know people who've done that and I don't get that.
It's just like, if you have to, I feel like everything that you do for your business, you need to have a valid reason of why you're doing it. Almost like a debate. Here's the pros and the cons of why we would, and here's why we wouldn't, because otherwise I don't think you're being honest with yourself of if it's a good idea or not. Just because it feels great at the time, like, oh yeah, we could do, to be honest, I bought sublimation because I was pissed off at another business who kept copying ideas. Like, okay, so back to being non-confrontational. I won't tell you to jump off a cliff, but this lady would not stop. And every design like 2 days later, she would have something almost identical. And I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to play this game anymore. I'll go buy Sublimation and I'll go make these other designs that if you want to keep up with this, then drop some money, So it was completely just to be rotten towards her. And then like, oh, look, I have a little bit more skin in the game. You want to stop messing with me? Because I know I told you I'm stubborn. And it's like, don't call me on my crap.
I mean, that just made me laugh a lot because that's funny as heck.
Yeah,
but
one of the things
I'm going to bring the horse around again and get us back to where we're supposed to be. One of the things that you just said that I really liked is you need to talk about the pros and cons of what you're doing and why you're doing it. But I also think the other half of that, which is something that you guys kind of lost a little bit, which is you need to remember what your goal is. Why are you doing this? Because it's so easy to get caught up in, I'm going to make more money, I'm going to be bigger, I'm going to do this. But if that's not what your goal is, then
you're miserable.
Yeah, then you're miserable, and then you've committed to all this stuff that you don't need and don't want. And
then you're resentful. Yeah. And that's really where we did have that conversation. And we had it really late. That was kind of the pitfall of it all, and like seeing, holy crap, we're so far gone. We had a really big conversation that was just like, do you want to take this next step? And we were on two different spectrums about taking this next step. And my thought was, let's do this and let's go from where we are to where we could be. And, because we've worked this hard that we're being asked to take this next step, it would be crazy not to take it, kind of thing.
Right.
And my sister was like, we're giving too much to not get anything in return. That was her. And she didn't want to take it, which I that's fine. That I wish we would have had a serious conversation like that sooner before it got, because by that, if you're constantly readdressing those things and reevaluating where you're at and having a real sit down meeting, like we said we were going to, and we didn't hold ourselves accountable, you won't get that far off the tracks. But by the time you're that into it, and then when somebody says, no, I don't want to do this or whatever, you and your, like I had it in my head, this is where we're going. She had it in her head, this is where we're going. We were on two different set of tracks. We weren't even close. But when the other person's not agreeing with you, then it's personal. It's not even business anymore. It's personal, which takes it to a whole nother level of,
Well, and it sounds like you guys had good intentions. I mean, you had a plan and but you didn't necessarily stick with it.
Yeah.
And a lot of that happens just because you get busy and you have to get orders out and you have to get things done. And it's easy to put this administrative stuff on the back burner because
administrative stuff in hindsight is more important than the orders.
Yeah, because you can't run the business if you're not on the same page.
Yeah, you're founded. Otherwise, it's just going to crumble. It is going to crumble. So, well, take the time for the strong foundation, because then when you have the problem and you address it, you have to remove your emotions from it when you do address it. You can't feel like it's a personal attack every time somebody has a different opinion than you, because it's not a personal attack. Everybody's entitled to their own opinions.
Sure.
You just have to take your feelings out of it for a moment and put on your big girl pants.
And that's, that I think
so easy to say.
One thing I could teach people about business, that's it. Totally right there is you have to take your personal feelings out of it. It's the same thing with, like, I write, and I have had editors that most of my editors are like, you're awesome, we love you, we don't have to edit you. But occasionally I'll get one that goes, yeah, that just totally sucks. What the hell were you thinking? Yeah. This is awful. And I'm like, I have to go, okay, either I didn't understand what you wanted, or maybe I had an off day and I did write like a third grader on crack. I don't know. But,
But it's you. So that's the part that's so hard to separate, because it is you. and like your business, you have dedicated so much to it. So when we both, and we have both dedicated so much to it. So when the other one doesn't have the same goals as you do, but yet you feel almost cheated because, well, I've sacrificed this, and this, and you don't want that. We didn't have the same end goal, but that was on both of us, that we just stopped communicating on those important, we talked about stuff, but we didn't sit down. And when we originally sat down, we sat down as her husband, my husband, and myself, and there was the four of us who came together and discussed it as the four of us, because whether the husbands were technically involved or not, they're involved. Like, that's who we go home with that night. That's who hears the bitching. That's who hears the happiness. They're involved. They may not be there making shirts, but they definitely,
but they're involved.
Yes. And they had an opinion. And so, yeah, you just can't let it get so far away from you. That's the biggest
Well, Eric
thing.
made a good point here, and I want to just throw this up here. Eric says it's hard to separate your emotions, sense of self, and your personal value from the work that you do. And I think that's very true. And it's really easy to take offense that somebody's criticizing you when they're actually criticizing
your work
or opinion or a thought you have about how to do something in business. And it's really, really easy to take that personally, and you can't. Well, I hate to tell you, but we're on bonus time now. So see, you did it.
Oh.
And I'm so proud of you because you were awesome. And I think we had a really great conversation, and I appreciate it so much. And I'm going to throw up here one more time. If you want to find Valerie's business, this is their Facebook page. I got to ask, just to close this out, why Positive Threads?
Okay, that wasn't the original business name.
Uh-huh.
The original business name was Sassy Sister Screen Printing, and if you had ever seen me and my sister together, the name slightly fit. And I left it for a little bit, and then when I was moving and dissolving, because I could have kept the name, and I was like, I'm like starting over, and I don't know, I just wanted something cheery, because to me, the sassy part, trust me, people got the sassy part, and there was some sassy pants involved in that. So I was like, I'm going to go with something different. And then I really, really, really concentrated on the embroidery afterwards. So that's why I threw the threads in there. So I don't
You just liked it.
It's so hard. It is so hard.
Oh, trust me.
Ridiculously hard.
The woman who owns Christine Shreve Consulting, because she couldn't come up with a name for anything. So I'm like, let's do that.
I felt so dumb, because not that long ago, it was Jay Bassell was talking about how people worry so much about their name and their logo, and they don't worry about all these. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're so right. Like, I worried about this, but
But you know what? That's the easy stuff to worry about, though, because you don't really have to know anything to do that. That's honest. I mean, it's like, I can pick up names. I've named crap when I worked for Edmart. I named crap all over the place. I named Edmart, for God's sakes. But and don't even get me started on that. But
bonus time.
Okay. All right. I'm going to pop you out. I'm going to say goodbye. And
well, thank you so
much. You were awesome. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for being here. I appreciate all your comments. I appreciate you spending time. Valerie was amazing. It was a great conversation. I'm so pleased. Next week, my guest will be Allie Banholzer from Wear Your Spirit Wear, and a recent winner of the first ever Women in Screen Printing Awards. And I hope you will join us for that show. And again, thank you all for being here. I'm so glad I'm back. I had so much fun, and I'll see you next week. Thanks, everybody.